Hey, welcome to Integrative Preparedness. I'm Steve Smith, and how are you all today? Welcome to all the new people, both on YouTube and on Patreon. If you're not with us on Patreon, you can join us. We'd love to have you. The link's down below. I want to talk today for a little bit about home invasions and the horrors of home invasions. For those of you who don't really know or don't think about it very much, you probably should. Here in Kansas, we are getting ready to execute a couple of dirtbags. I don't know how soon it will be. These things take a long time. Who perpetrated what's referred to as the Wichita Massacre. I'm going to talk about that for a minute. Before there, I have people asking me. Our sponsor is the Stonemont series, the 5 books, the Reversion, the Revival, the Renewal, An Appeal to Heaven, and the Blessings of Freedom. They say that these are the best preparedness and survival books out there. I won't argue with that, and I thank those people very much. They're my books. I wrote them. And it's a complete design on how to prepare for, how to survive, and then how to rebuild after a complete collapse. Talks about a lot of good stuff, about relationships and community and doing things the right way and all that. Okay, getting back to these dirtbags, or getting back to actually what you should be thinking of. We got these 2 guys that perpetrated some crimes down in Wichita. I'm going to read a little bit about their crimes, and then I want to talk a little bit about what you need to be thinking about, because the world is becoming more dangerous. If you don't think it's becoming more dangerous, you haven't been paying attention, and I know you all have. It is becoming more dangerous, and as we get more, as economy declines, as really not just the economy, because there have been plenty of poor times in the country's history where violent crime did not necessarily increase that much. It's a matter of the devolution of our society and the collapse of the social mores and a collapse of the criminal justice system and an increase of people who are apologizing or apologists for animals like these. I'm going to read to these guys. So back in 2000, this is about 2 brothers named Carr. Let me go back up, because I'm going to put their pictures as the thumbnail for this, because they should have their pictures all over the place. Reginald and Jonathan Carr. Okay. They were from Dodge City. Both had lengthy criminal records. Big surprise for that, right? On December 8, 2000, having recently arrived in Wichita, they were from Dodge City, I think I said, out west of Wichita. The brothers robbed and wounded 23-year-old Andrew Schreiber, an assistant baseball coach. 3 days later, on December 11th, they shot 55-year-old cellist and librarian Ann Walenta as she tried to escape from them in her car. She died 3 weeks later in the hospital from her wounds. That's not the bad part yet. Now we're getting to the bad part. Listen closely. On December 14, this is back in 2000, the brothers broke into a house at 12727 East Birchwood Drive in Wichita. Inside the property, which they had chosen at random, these things can happen anywhere, at any time, to anyone. It can happen to you. Were Brad Heike, Heather Mueller, Aaron Sander, Jason Beffort, and his girlfriend, a young woman identified as Holly G. She's identified that way because she's the only one who survived. Beffort was a local high school teacher. Heike was a director of finance with a local financial services company. Mueller was a local preschool teacher. Sander was a former financial analyst who had been studying to become a priest. Holly was a teacher. My purpose for reading that is that these weren't a part of gang culture. These weren't any. These were normal, decent people going about their lives. They had come together for a social gathering. feeling secure in their house. First, okay, so they broke into this house. First, the cars, the dirtbags, searched the house for valuables. Belford had intended to propose to Holly, and she found this out when the cars discovered an engagement ring hidden in a popcorn box. After burgling the house, the cars, and actually this would be in Kansas is an aggravated burglary because, or it could be a robbery, depending on exactly what happened, because there are people there. After burgling the house, the cars forced their victims to strip naked and bound them. You can imagine this is where it really starts to get bad. The brothers then repeatedly raped the two women and forced the men to engage in sexual acts with the women and the women with each other. One of the common threads in home invasions is sexual attacks and sexual torture. Realize it can happen anywhere, anytime, to anyone. It can happen to you if you're not prepared. After taking the victims in Belfort's truck to ATMs to empty their bank accounts, they drove them to the closed Stryker soccer complex on the outskirts of Wichita, where they shot all 5 execution style in the back of their heads. The cars then drove Belfort's truck over their bodies and left them for dead. Holly G. survived because her plastic barrette, I think that's a hairpiece, deflected the bullet to the side of her head. She walked naked for more than a mile in freezing weather to seek first aid and shelter at a house. Before getting medical treatment, she reported the incident and descriptions of her attackers to the couple who took her in before the police arrived. After the killings, the cars returned to the house to ransack it for more valuables. While there, they used a golf club to beat Holly's pet dog, Nikki, to death. Police captured both Carr brothers the next day. Both Schreiber and the dying Valenta identified Reginald, the district. I won't go through that. So they were charged with kidnapping, robbery, rape, 4 counts of capital murder, 1 count of first-degree murder, and they've been sentenced to death. And hopefully that's exactly what will happen. If you want another case, some time ago I covered the case of Christian and Newsom out of Knoxville, Tennessee. Just Google that and you'll read that. The horrors that accompany home invasions are beyond description. This just covers, this didn't even begin to cover how horrible the things were that happened in that house to those people, to those young people, who I'm sure were having a great night. The engagement ring was hidden in a box of popcorn, so he was obviously getting ready to pop the question that night. That's probably why the other friends were there. Life was good. Life was beautiful for them. And these animals just picked that house at random and went in, sexually assaulted, sexually tortured, and then killed them. We think a lot about carrying when we're out. We think a lot about, oh my, if I'm going into a dangerous part of town, I'd better be careful, or I'd better not go there. That's good to think about, but what you don't realize, and what these young people didn't realize, was the most dangerous place in the whole world that night was there in their home. And they weren't ready. Their home, apparently, I don't know if it was secure. I don't know how well it was secure. I doubt that these young men carried. Most don't. probably wouldn't really know how to do it, how to respond if they did. You can tell that they forced them all to strip naked and then tied them up. So obviously there were 5 people there. They must not have, either they didn't resist at all or they tried and then took a beating. But in either case, they weren't able to overcome the force that had been brought against them. A couple of guns in that room among those people. I almost said young men, but women should carry too. A couple of guns, 5 guns, would have changed this scene completely. Maybe we would have had the coroner come up and pick up a couple of dead dirtbags. And these young people would be living the wonderful lives that they thought they were going to. There is no safe place in this world that you don't yourself make safe. Your home should be secured. All the basic things that you can think about. Doors and windows, right? Alarms and lights. I'm going to be doing one on interior security lighting here for the folks over on Patreon in the next few days. And that is so important. But always being ready to defend yourself, to respond to incoming violence with greater, far greater outgoing violence. That is the solution. People say, should I carry at home? You should carry all the time. I mentioned one time that I said I don't always carry at home. That was kind of a mistake. I almost always, 99%. There are times that if I want to sit down or something, I will take my pistol out of my holster and I'll put it somewhere. Okay. Right now I'm carrying, and I have one in my desk drawer. But I'm never more than arm's length, and my arms are only 36 inches. Never more than arm's length from a gun. Neither should yours be. Okay. And I also have, I'll say it, I won't say where, I have weapons positioned throughout this house that people who are old enough to operate them know where they all are. Because not everybody's going to carry. Not everybody in the house is going to carry all the time. Okay? And I'm not always here. You need to think about these things. The horrors that are out there in the world waiting to visit that horror on unsuspecting, innocent people are beyond the ability of the average person to even imagine. But they're there and they're real. And while they may only happen to a small percentage of people, they happen to 100% of the people they happen to. Right? Okay. Secure your life by securing your house, all the area around you. Always be ready to respond. Understand that your safety and security is your responsibility. It's no one else's. And it's your responsibility to provide the safety and security for those who depend on you. Carry, always carry of sufficient caliber to effectively deal with violence brought to you. And I hope you will, and I hope that you'll spread this message. Share this. Somebody asked me the other day, can I share this video? You can share all of my videos. You can share all of them. And especially this one. Because normal people just don't understand. Okay. You all have a good day. I know that's a horrible thing to think about, but it's the world we live in. Remember that we prepare well today in order to live well tomorrow. Preparing well means being always ready and able to respond so that we can live well tomorrow. Okay, you all have a good day. I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.